Welcome back to Book Talking, where I help you find your next read. My name is Lauren, and this week we have 5 fun and amazing picture books for young readers and their parents and caregivers to read together. I have a special announcement. Aurora Public Library is proud to present the TD Summer Reading Club's Summer Story Walk series. So in Town Park in Aurora until June 28th, we've set up a super fun storybook walkthrough. Each page of the book will be located on a post around the park, and you and your family can enjoy some outdoor fun as you walk through the story. Then from June 29th to July 12th, the story will move to Ada Johnson Park, and our staff will be visiting the location on July 8th for some fun activities to celebrate summer reading. Check out the link in the description box for all our Story Walk events and locations throughout the summer. Our first book this week is A Good Day for a Hat by T. Nat Fuller, illustrated by Rob Hodgson. Mr. Brown is a bear, and he has a hat for any occasion, which is a good thing because every time he tries to leave his house, something outside changes, like the weather, or a rodeo or a cook-off comes to town, and he goes back inside and puts on a more suitable hat. With bold colors and repeated phrases, this is a perfect choice for shared reading time with young children. On almost all of the pages, it ends with, "But when he stepped outside," and so you have the opportunity to predict what will happen next. If your child is a fan of silly stories about bears, like There's a Bear on My Chair by Ross Collins, check out A Good Day for a Hat. Next up, we have Leonardo the Terrible Monster by Mo Willems. Leonardo is a monster, but unlike the other monsters, he's not very good at scaring people. He comes up with all kinds of ways to try and spook people, but he's always unsuccessful until Leonardo comes up with a plan to find a scaredy cat kid and scare him good. And that leads Leonardo to Sam, a young, unsuspecting boy. What happens next is very unexpected for both Leonardo and Sam, and you'll see what I mean. I love the page where Sam explains a little bit more about himself to Leonardo. This is a fun story about making new friends, and it shows how the decisions we make can have a big impact on others. Mo Willems is, of course, a very well-known author. He wrote the Elephant and Piggy series, as well as many other great books, so if you like this one, you can check those out as well. And for readers who enjoy stories about monsters and discussing fear, like Go Away Big Green Monster by Ed Emberley, this is Leonardo the Terrible Monster. Our third book this week is Jabari Jumps by Gaia Cornwall. Jabari, his dad, and his little sister are at the community pool for the day, and Jabari decides that this is the day he's finally going to jump off the big diving board. He's done his swimming lessons, taken his swim test, and he's a good jumper, so here we go. But as Jabari approaches the line to climb the ladder, and as he makes his way up, he's starting to realize this is a lot scarier than he imagined, and he starts coming up with some excuses to delay his jump. With some encouragement and helpful tips from his dad, will Jabari finally be able to make the big jump? This is such a sweet story about dealing with fear and uneasy feelings. There's also a really important lesson in this story about how we view challenges, and if we alter our perspective a bit, we can change our feelings about them. There's also another book in this series, Jabari Tries, so if you like this book, you can give that a read as well. For fans of stories about facing your fears and building confidence, like Parachute by Danny Parker, check out Jabari Jumps. Next up, we have Seagull and Sea Dragon by Sydney Gregg. Seagull flies up in the sky and he wonders what life is like underwater, and Sea Dragon swims in the deep sea and wonders what life is like up in the sky. They both have lots of questions, and it even makes them feel a bit scared because they know so little about the other. But when they finally meet on the surface of the water, they see that they have a lot more in common than they could ever have imagined. I love the bright, colorful illustrations in this book, and I also think the author did a really nice job of highlighting how we all have a curiosity about others, and all it takes is a little bit of learning and sharing to get to know one another. For fans of amusing picture books about animals forging unlikely friendships, like Dude by Aaron Reynolds, this is Seagull and Sea Dragon. Last but not least this week, we have The Legend of Rock, Paper, Scissors by Drew Daywalt, illustrated by Adam Rex. This is the epic story behind the simple schoolyard game of rock, paper, scissors. How did each of these characters come to be, and how did they finally end up facing one another in a battle? You'll have to read the story to find out. Full of humor and dramatic illustrations that go perfectly with the story, there's also a particularly good use of different font types and sizes, sure to please readers ages 4 and up, and adults too. For fans of the author Drew Daywalt, who also wrote The Day the Crayons Quit, and for fans of hilarious stories with anthropomorphic characters like 789 by Tara Lazar, this is The Legend of Rock, Paper, Scissors. Thank you all so much for joining me this week. You can find all of these great picture books and so much more at Aurora Public Library. We hope to see you for our story walks in different parks around Aurora this summer. Happy reading, everyone, and take care.